batshit crazy. My fridge just keeps doing this. Listen. I've tried turning it off. I've tried turning the fuse on and off. I feel like I'm going to go mad. If anyone's got any tips on what I'm going to have to turn it off on the fuse. I'm going to have to... No, ignore it now. Everything will get ruined. So, good morning. How are you all? Obviously, you can see Mark is not with me today. Hi, Claire LC. He's actually doing something really exciting. He's filming something really exciting. Morning, Margaret. Morning. How are you? Hi, Brenda. I'm going to put this bit over here, actually. Let me see. How are you all? That's better. Why did I have you round the corner? How could I see you properly? There we go. Right, that's better. Hi, Sue Thorpe, Elaine Upright, Teresa Hutchinson, Avril McClure, Keely Windle, Nicola Ashcroft, Muriel Roberts, Shelley Silver, Karen Bosby, and Marie Franklin. Anita O'Reilly, they're going too fast now. So good morning, everybody. If it's your first time here on Coffee Moaning, we do this Monday through to Saturday. Usually my husband is here with me too, Mark. And we do the news, but we don't always just do the news because often the news is just so bloody repetitive and depressing that we try and look for other like interesting things to chat about. We also do happy birthdays and happy anniversaries. So if it's your birthday or you want me to sing happy birthday to anybody, just say, oh God, I've not got a pen, hang on. And then I can do it at the end. Can you hear the fridge, guys? Is it driving you crazy too? Oh my God. It's funny. It's like, it could be used as a torture. Beep, beep. And my tinnitus is so bad at the moment. I've got a high-pitched sound at the moment. It's really driving me crazy. So I've got a lot of irritations. So it's nice I'm going to spend a little time with you to distract me. You can't hear it. Okay, none of you can hear it. Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I want to take an axe to the fridge. I really need a new oven and a new fridge, but I'm waiting to see if any deals come up. So unique. My gifted membership runs out on Thursday. I can't renew as don't want card linked with my account. Will there be a members live before Thursday? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll do one tomorrow. Ellen thought it was something else. Right, I'm going to turn it off at source. Right, we can't have people thinking it's them. Right, is that the right one? Yes. No! God, I just saw my huge bum right in the camera there, sorry. Oh God. Oh, it's stopped. No, it's not open. That's the thing. That's the sound it gives when it's open, but it's not open. It's just doing it now without it being open. Right, morning everybody. So, how is the life? Wait till Black Friday for appliances deals. Teresa, but isn't it all a con? Don't they always say every time that it's not really a deal? I don't know. Hi, Tina Davis. I had autumn COVID jab yesterday. Arm is dead. Dead as a doornail today. Ooh, I hate that feeling. Yeah, so I'm very torn on the whole next vaccine thing. I know a lot of you are as well, aren't you? I've not made any decisions on that yet, that's for sure. Sarah Withington, I've got my tickets for Loose Women. Unfortunately, it's Tuesday. Oh, so you don't get a chance to choose. It's annoying, isn't it? Don't forget, if you come in on a Thursday or Friday and I'm there, say to Lee, my friend Lee, the warm-up guy, that you are a sub, and I'll come over and say hello into the audience. And Candy, lovely Candy, who came to the audience on Friday and felt a bit shy to say hello, but then bumped into me on the range on a Saturday. So we had a little photo there instead, didn't we? I know, I can't believe it's October either, Ruth. And I said to Lisa the other day, it's just speeding so fast, isn't it? It's like scary. But I've got this really weird thing as well. I'm thinking, oh God, right, it's October and we haven't been nuked yet by Putin. And yes, they keep talking about COVID, but it's not a massive wave. So I just go, that's good. We're getting right through the year. So I'm kind of worried about how fast it's going. But at the same time thinking, wow, we're already here and we haven't had a nuclear war. Now, is that a half cup is half full person or what? I think I can definitely call myself a cup is half full person. 81 days until Christmas, says Anne Murray. Is that all? I have to say I'm already thinking about it after my visit to the range the other day and all those gorgeous decorations. I've got my flu vaccine on the 14th of October, says Ellery Jones. I know, I'm just... Don't, because I'm really in a quandary about it all. Right, so this morning, Vlogmas will be here soon, 1st of December. If you're new to the channel, you haven't joined us here before, we do every day of December Vlogmas, which is our family reality show, and it is huge bloody fun. Well, hello from Mr. Clubfoot. How's the foot, Lee? Lee's been going through almost sepsis, cellulitis, and infected athlete's foot. But it's okay, he's still alive and he's still making cocktails. It's been quite dramatic over the last few days. I'm looking forward to the new year to start my new diary I bought. That's positive thinking. That's not sad. She's calling herself, who's that? Emily Page. That is not sad. That's finding the beauty in the simple things. I follow this amazing guy that I'm just obsessed with. He's a young French chap. He looks very well-to-do. He's good-looking. He, you know, could be having any kind of life that he wanted. But actually, he's out in this village. I can't remember where it is now. Is it in the Sudan? But anyway, and he works with these children, and he put children in dire straits. But what he does is he posts joyful videos of them, and there was one the other day, and there was this little boy, and he was like, just like snotty-nosed. He was just like a mess, you know, his clothes were all ragged. And he was the most beautiful little boy, and he was looking up like this, he had slightly cross-eyed, and he had this little carton of orange juice. And you could tell it'd been the first orange juice he'd ever had. And the joy as he was just very controlled, but he just didn't even take a breath. He just drank this whole bottle of orange juice and then just gave this beam. And I showed it to my girls, I said, that is the true essence of, like, we've lost all sight of everything. How lucky we are, how much we have, the excess that we have, the joy in little things. Like you saying, I'm looking forward to starting my new diary. You immediately have to say, well, that's sad, because that's small. I know you're kind of joking, but we do that, don't we? But actually, the joy in the small things is the bloody key to life. It really is. In my opinion, Mark completely disagrees with me, and he says I'm really fucking annoying. But I really believe that. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Tina. Hi, Zoe Griffiths-Brown. Simple pleasures in life takes much. Remember at the beginning of the pandemic when we talked so much about spark of joy? We were looking for the spark of joy because it was so hard. There was no good news. There was no everything. That got me out of a really, like, scared place. I kept looking all day for the little things, the little things. I can see a gorgeous little bird there just on the tree now. Anyway, so this is trouble when I do this on my own. I just witter on, don't I? But anyway, so Mark, before he left, and I were looking through the news on what we might do, what I might do for Coffee and Moaning. It was just like, I cannot bear to talk about Liz Truss. I just can't. I can't do it. You know, our economy, everything is upside down, inside out. And at the moment, everything is going to be so changeable every day that I just don't want to waste breath on it. I just want to see what happens. And it's all out there for all of you to see anyway. So we decided, nah, let's not do that. But then Dina came in and we were looking, and Mark and I couldn't find a single thing. And I said, I think we need to go a bit more loose women where we just do like random topics. So then Dina came in. She's so funny. I just said to her, I said, you know, you've got a real gift in front of the camera, actually. Because I don't know if you saw my story on Instagram, I can just turn the camera on her and she just talks just as herself. She's not fake at all. She doesn't do, hi, she's just herself. She just is funny. Now, she's very on the edge because she's also can be incredibly, what's the word? Brutal. She's just, I mean, we've grown up in South London. We are South London girls. There is no two ways about it. You don't want to cross us, that's what I would say, especially if we're out together. But anyway, so she came in and she went, do you know what? She goes, just answer me one thing. Because she struggled with being single, but she now actually really likes being single. And she said, just answer me one thing. Why do some women take their fucking horrible husbands with them to the supermarket? Really nasty blokes, right? So she says, I was in the supermarket this morning, and she did the whole act. So this woman said, oh, shall I get some peas? And she said she was a bit like shaky, and she said she was really sweet. And he goes, we've got peas. And she was like, oh, right. He goes, I mean, why would you even think about picking up peas or even asking me about peas when you know he got peas a couple of days ago? Wow. Dina said she went up to, she was like this. She went up and she looked at him like that, proper South London face. And she said, I just wish I'd been a WPC. She said, because I would have arrested him. Anyway, she followed them round the supermarket. But she tells us like this is totally normal. So what I say, don't piss off a South London bird. Just don't do it. So she's following him round and giving him, just to give him filthy looks. And she said, I was so annoyed I wasn't a WPC because I would have arrested him. And she said, but then I considered performing a citizen's arrest. I said, really? She went, honestly? She goes, he was so horrible. He was so controlling of this woman. And she was like, you could see she was a bit scared of him and a bit, she said that I wanted to arrest him, a citizen's arrest. And so then Mark was there and he goes, oh, well, what about George from Married at First Sight being arrested? And of course, lots of you are watching Married at First Sight, lots of you aren't. So you don't need to have watched it because I'll set up the story for you. Yeah, Dina, she's so funny, isn't she? She's hilarious when you go out with her as well. She don't care. She just says anything to anyone. This can be a bit embarrassing, especially when people, I say to her, you do know I'm now just well off the telly, don't you? And you're embarrassing me. She's so embarrassing. But the thing is, I wouldn't change her. Sometimes I'd just like die with the things she says, but I wouldn't change her because she's funny. She's funny like my mum. My mum's got the same sort of, God, what my mum was saying the other day. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. Whose birthday? Can I have a birthday song? Velvet Vicky waiting. Yeah, I'll do it at the end. Velvet. Make sure you remind me, Vicky. So anyway, so then Mark said, oh, well, maybe you should talk about this case. So, Married at First Sight, there is basically a show where two people marry at first sight. They've never seen them before, don't know anything about them, and they marry them. They go on honeymoon together, and then they move back. I think there's about 15 couples, and then they all move back to an apartment block at Morningley, and then they all live together. And then at the end of the experiment, I think it's about 8, 9, 10 weeks, they decide whether they want to marry the person or not. Now, there is a couple in there called George and April, and they've been quite controversial all the way through. Now, when I first saw George, I thought, oh, God, he's really good looking, and, you know, he's articulate, and he's got 4 children, and I just formed all these opinions about him. But then as the series went on, I got more and more uncomfortable the way that I was seeing him speaking to April, and it was just a bit like, And he was very jealous. But in the beginning, I was quite sympathetic to that. Right at the very beginning, he had like a jealous fit at her. But I was kind of sympathetic to that because, as you know, Mark used to really suffer with jealousy. And I used to suffer with his jealousy because it's not nice being around someone. But he got a lot of therapy. We understand where his insecurities came from. And he's really worked himself and he's amazing, absolutely amazing. So I try not to be fully judgmental of somebody when they're jealous. And he had said that he had been cheated on before. So I thought, oh God, this guy isn't properly healed enough. He's been cheated on before and he's kind of bringing his insecurity. He should have a bit of a break before he goes on to the next girl. Anyway, as we've gone through the series, it's more and more like, oh, that's a bit odd. Anyway, then about 5 days ago, there was this article in the paper saying that 3 women had accused him of coercive and controlling behaviour. And they had complained to the police and the police hadn't done anything. So we were all like, oh, Right, okay. He denies everything and says he hadn't been told by the police and then all of this, and he didn't know there'd been complaints made against him. Since then, the woman that he was matched with in Married First Sight has come out and said, I'm now in therapy. I can tell you I've had a really tough time, basically. Anyway, yesterday, he was arrested for coercive and controlling behaviour. Actually arrested. He was then released pending inquiries. But I was like, wow, that is really something, isn't it? And why I wanted to talk about this is, I know there was recently, it was last year, because we talked about it in Coffee Moaning, didn't we? That there was a case where somebody was actually charged and imprisoned for coercive and controlling behaviour. And correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows, I think it was a precedent was set. It was the first time that had happened. And I just wanted to talk about this today because I think a lot of people, the thing is about coercive controlling, and we've watched some scenes where many of us have thought, because we always do a gossip after the show, wow, I mean, he was like being really like controlling with her there, demanding that he knew everything about her previous boyfriends and all of this. And the thing is with coercive control is that it creeps up, that the person can just start to just slowly destroy the person's confidence in themselves, and people can be in that kind of a relationship for years and not even realise what's going on, or then even when they do realise, don't think that there is any way that anything can be done through the law. Well, seriously, that has changed. So if you are in that kind of a situation, watch this case closely. Also, look into it. See, I think, like, a friend of mine who was actually, in the end, was very badly physically abused by her partner, beaten, and she always says to me that was the easy bit compared to the coercive controlling, what he'd done to get her to the place where he could hit her. It can drive people mad. I am so glad that the law is seemingly moving more towards understanding that. And it's not just men on women, it's the other way around as well. Absolutely. Obviously, it's more that way around, but I mean, there are plenty of men that have been through this as well, as men that have reached out to me and told me. So I just thought, if you are somebody, or you are close to somebody you think is in a coercive, controlling relationship, being manipulated, look again, because the law has changed. My ex caused me to have mental breakdowns, says Zoe Griffiths. But exactly, I mean, I think the mental torture that you go through when somebody breaks you down little bit. We were laughing back there about my sister and this man with the peas. But actually, the woman was a nervous wreck, and he's angry with her because she's even thought about saying, shall I get the peas? Now, he may never have laid a hand on her, this man, but look what he's doing to her. And the point where my sister's following him around the supermarket wanting to do a citizen's arrest. So, who bloody rah? That's what I would say. Bev Berry, I ditched an ex who was telling me who I could talk to and what I could eat. I mean, eventually they will. Another friend of mine who's in a very controlling relationship, he has control of absolutely everything. Everything. What she eats, how she exercises, what TV programs she watches, what books she reads. I mean, that is violence, isn't it? That really is. So, yeah. Well, we'll see. This is all alleged at the moment. And as I say, George does deny all the accusations. So we have to wait and see. Exactly, Ellen. One can't bear to think what goes on behind closed doors, or indeed in the supermarket with a bag of peas today. Helen Groves, I was physical, mental and financial abused, and mental abuse was the worst, says Helen. Yeah, because to doubt yourself, to take you away from yourself, for you to question every single thing about yourself. I'm telling you, I can spot it in people. People that just continually apologise for themselves or continually run down. Often there is somebody, and it's not always a partner, it can be a friend, it can be a parent, it can be, there's somebody in the background chipping away at your confidence. It makes me so angry. Ellie Denning, I would have preferred to have been black and blue with bruises than mentally abused. Oh my God, you see, that's just so awful, isn't it? Oh, April Hill, I was in a controlling relationship until recently. Well done you for getting out of it. I mean, and that is the other thing. It's really important, because, you know, I've chatted over the years to domestic violence experts and stuff, various programs have done, and it's really, really important that if somebody is planning to leave, that they do it very carefully. There's no just suddenly leaving. It has to be planned. You have to get, you know, because it can be a very dangerous point when you leave. So it's really important that you don't say to somebody, come on, just get out now, because that's when it can really go tits up. And yeah, there needs to be a plan. Bev Berry, he used to hit me if I spoke to any man. It's horrible, but happily married for almost 18 years now. Oh, I love that. You were able to heal and you know, find somebody decent and kind. Zoe, I'm so glad more is being done about psychological abuse. Going through it destroys you. Yeah. I wonder if people can go to domestic violence refuge and stuff. Yes, you can, can't you, with off the back of coercive control? You must be able to, yeah, because quite often it will end up being physical, won't it? So, moving on. So Sue thought my stepdad was controlling over me, said I had to see my boyfriend on a rota. I left home, moved in with my boyfriend 11 years ago, and we own our own home. Oh, good for you, Sue. Yeah. There's a lot of it out of there. We don't have to put up with it. So then another subject that came out from Dina was about how, so a friend of hers has just gone through something pretty terrible, and all the friends have just been not saying anything because they didn't want to say anything. And she's been looking back recently on photos and saying, oh, I looked this way, I looked that way. Why didn't any of you tell me? And then it wasn't until in the friendship groups, one of their friends who's from Bulgaria, who said it outright. Who just said to her straight, oh my God, you look da 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 da. I'm trying to be vague here because I don't want anyone to know that we're talking about them. So I'm being very vague, so excuse me for that. But this is basically a story Dina told me. And then we got into, God, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? How, like, when I think of my friends and family from all different parts of the world, they are all brutally honest in a way that we're not. Like one of our relatives' wives, who's Chinese. She came into the house one day and my mum was eating something or other, and she just went, "Oh, now I see why you're fat." My mum's never forgiven it. So, oh, now I understand why you're fat. But it's just normal. It's just normal for her to say it. And I said, well, are we a nation? Because then Dina was saying, I mean, we won't say it, will we? But then we'll walk away from somebody and say it. So basically, are we? I mean, it's great if you're not saying it to somebody's face, if you're also not saying it after they've gone. But is it that we are two-faced? Is it that we just have, is it just a difference of manners? Is it, do we have a real aversion to interfering? Do we have an understanding as Brits that we all do it, but we don't really say it directly to people's face? I mean, my thing with it was, and I thought this was quite relevant at the moment with Stoptober, because lots of people are thinking about their drinking. Honesty is the best policy, says Zoe. Yeah, but I think it's very difficult. Hanny, do you prefer that brutal honesty, Nadia? No, I don't like brutal honesty. If I think about it, I actually don't. I would like to think that I do, but I wouldn't. I'd be really upset. I don't like people to be honest with me. Like if somebody said to me, can I just tell you something? I'd probably say no. Do you mind if you don't? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to lie this morning, say, oh no, I'm really good. I prefer people to tell me the truth, but actually I don't. I really don't. And maybe that's why I'm more reluctant. Mind you, with my really good friends, like with Kay, I've been so brutal with her through Strictly, you know, on you know, when she was being too hard on herself, I've really, really had to go at her. It's like, you've got to put yourself in, I'm going to be really, really tough. I think that I'm a bit unfair as a friend. I think I'm more honest with my friends than I would allow them to be to me. And I'm aware of that, and I know that's something I have to work on. Because it's not right, isn't it? Is it? Ashley Gardner, I just agree with whatever people say most of the time. Save the hassles of any arguments. Well, think about that, Ashley. Why should you? You don't have to. You can have your own opinion. It doesn't have to be an argument. It doesn't have to be a confrontation, but it's okay to say, well, I don't agree. Anne Mark Murray says, you say it best when you say nothing at all. Oh, Erin Bullymore, being autistic and ADHD, I often say things that are considered a little rude, but I'm just saying, yeah, sorry, your thing popped up, but I'm just saying what I see or know, and I don't get what I've done wrong. Yes, yeah, that can be a problem. I think, and as I said, I'm having my test for ADHD in a couple of weeks. I think that sometimes my overstepping the mark, because I do overstep the mark and I'm aware of it, but what happens to me, I just go and I can't stop. I think it is a bit ADHD. But say, for instance, somebody you know is drinking too much, or, you know, well, drinking too much, let's stick with drinking. I think it's such a difficult one, that, because I think you have to work out, you really have to work out whether that person is open to receiving anything. That's the problem, because you could say something, you've got to ask what your intentions are. Yeah, so you've got to ask what your intentions are. Like, sometimes we can say things to people, and actually, if we're really, really honest, we're just being a bit interfering. And we're distracting from our own lives, and that's wrong. And I've done that before, and I'm guilty of that sometimes. But then sometimes your intention is truly, truly because you want that person to change something you're doing. Hi, Michelle. I disagree that you're unfair with friends. You read the room and people well. We both know Kay wants that kind of tough talking. She'd say it's what she needs to hear from you. No, I know, but I am a bit much sometimes, Michelle. I do always say afterwards, I go, I was a bit much. But thank you. So say, for instance, somebody is drinking too much and you're really, really worried about them. And you're really, really worried about their health, where you think that something like they're drinking too much, they're coming home late, they're not safe. I think that's non-negotiable. You have to say it. Oh, shit. 1 second, guys. Sorry. Well, we've got such a nice postman. He's always happy, he said. He said, always look on the bright side of life. That's our postman. He's so lovely. Yeah, so I think it becomes non-negotiable that you've got to say something if it's a good friend. But I think it's the hardest thing in the world. It's so hard. But I think it's about going, you've got to just sort of, you've got to test the water, haven't you? and just say, you know, sort of something. So say it's October and you'd like somebody to start and stop October. You might say, depending how well you know them, if it's your partner, you have to be brutal, I think. I was brutal with Mark to get Mark to stop drinking. I just said to him, we're going to get divorced if you don't. That was that. And I said, and it's non-negotiable. But with a friend, if I was worried about a friend's drinking, I've tried before with a particular friend of mine and it didn't go very well. But I think what you have to do is think that what you're doing is you're putting a seed in there. You may not get the results that you want straight away, but you're planting a seed, because I think often people kind of know anyway. And I think to say I'm worried about you. I'm only saying this because I really, really care about you and I'm worried about you. And I think that it looks like you're not that happy also, you know. I think that's kind of the way to feel around. But I would never say anything about anybody's weight. I don't care. I wouldn't. Only in my own family. Right, direct. I would never say that to a friend. If I saw somebody losing weight or putting on weight, I wouldn't mention their weight at all, but I would just like try and find out if they're happy or not. I think the really difficult one is with partners. If you think somebody's back to coercive, that's really hard. But I wonder if Brits, if we should take more out of more of our, you know, foreign friends who just say it as it is. I wonder if we'd be happier. Because we are one of the unhappiest nations, aren't we? I mean, we are miserable bastards, a lot of us. Is that a good place to end? What do you think, Michelle? We are miserable bastards, both of us. I'm going to sing a happy birthday to Velvet Vicky. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Velvet Vicky. Happy birthday. With love. All right, my darling. Lots of love. I believe the sex podcast is going up tonight. We're going to have to do it in 2 parts. So part 1 is this week. Thanks, Michelle. Part 1 is this week, and then we are going to religiously do the How to Stay Married podcast every fortnight. And we've actually asked Michelle to tell us off on a Monday, every second Monday, to say where's the podcast, so that it can be really, really regular. But the sex one is already proving very interesting. We've read lots of your comments out. Mark and I have spoken a bit. And yes, I even had to have a safe word for this podcast. So look out for it later. It's coming tonight. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Michelle. Lots of love. Bye.